Hey, y'all. Welcome to Simple Conversations. This is KJ.
Hey, and it's Alice. So pause us for a minute, grab you something to drink, come back, sit down, and be a part of this conversation.
Because we have a lot to say. Welcome to Simple Conversations. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Simple Conversations, where grace meets strength. Hey, Alice.
Hey, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
It's 2022.
It is.
Are you excited about it?
I am excited about it.
Okay, good. I think I am.
Very excited about it. Although someone pointed out, like, if we really think about how we're saying this, 2022, it's like 2020 again.
Right.
I just rebuke that. I'm trying not even to think about that.
No, because 21 was enough. 2020 was a lot.
A lot.
I definitely don't want to go back there.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah.
I'm watching a show. It's interesting because I'm watching the morning show with Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston. I like both of them very much. I just happened across it. I don't watch a lot of TV, actually, not by myself. And I happened across it over the holidays when I was just by myself. And I thought, oh, I like her a lot. Reese Witherspoon, especially, she has done a lot for women in the industry. So I really like her. So anyway, but it's a news show. It's a morning show. So think of like Good Morning America or the Today Show kind of thing.
Okay.
Comes based off of. And they're just about to walk into 2020. Like one of their reporters just went to China because there's this virus that's lingering. And I'm like, oh, y'all don't even know. Like, it's a sitcom. And I'm like, y'all don't even know what's about to happen.
You know what I think is so interesting that you're into that. And as soon as they start talking about 2020 and that junk, like I turn it off.
No, because I want to see how they play it out versus how it played out.
Versus, yeah
like, but plus I really do like those characters. And I like the way that they do the women roles and the dynamics of the women relationships, because I think they do it a little differently. Because women aren't in charge of it. You know, where It's not men producing and writing women's roles, it's women producing and writing women's roles. Okay. And so I think they play out a little differently. And I like those relational dynamics. I like that. I like watching.
Listen, we're not here to solve the world's problems this morning, but I will tell you that I do believe 2020 would have been a lot different had a woman been in charge. That's all I got to say.
I do. I think a lot of things would be different if we had women in charge.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, because we can do hard things with compassion. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a whole podcast, right?
That's a whole podcast within itself. Look, the whole time I'm thinking, stay on topic. Because today our topic is 2022.
Yes. So, over the last few months, our listeners have been able to listen to us talk about getting away. We talked about, does God fit in your box? That was such a great.
That was good.
We talked about some of the things that we've experienced and grown in, like journaling and self-care, which was a huge thing. And I actually got to talk about self-care with other groups of ladies after that podcast when I did some speaking engagements. And that was really interesting to hear other women in that conversation, with the difference between, we talked about self-care and beauty maintenance. Remember how we classified those differently? That was really interesting. We also talked about gender roles and then how we got started together and in our business and in this podcast. And then, we summed up the year with our Christmas must-haves.
Yes.
And I only had the one Christmas meal, but I think I did all my favorite things. Like, I think I had all my favorite things over the holidays. I had a really good Christmas, had all my kids and grandkids in one place at one time, which was really nice. I would have liked probably a little bit more connectedness, but maybe my expectation was a little high since it was the first time all of us had been in one place.
Okay.
possibly ever, because Tony and the kids were with us too. So I don't know that all of my biological kids and Tony and the kids, like all of us had been in one place at one time for an extended amount of time. But that was really
Just
nice.
to refresh the listener's memory, Tony is like an adopted daughter
Right.
that has 2 young children that Alice and her family are in love with. So
Yeah. So they're like ours. We love them.
yes.
Yeah. So she's like my kid. And so that means I have 2 daughters and 4 grandchildren instead of 2. And yeah, it's fabulous. I love it.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that was good. It was good. How about you? Holidays?
We had great holidays. It was wonderful. Although kind of like in the middle of Thanksgiving and Christmas, we held a memorial service for my dad, which was really interesting because it took place on the same day that my mom decided to have, well, my mom already had a family reunion. I say that in air quotes, planned. She normally does a huge Thanksgiving, but this year decided because of COVID that she would have it at her church in the fellowship hall. So there would be more room for us to spread out and all of that. And so then we scheduled my dad's memorial service on the same day. And that was hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Christmas was nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So our listeners know that when you listen to us, you're going to get real, authentic, raw emotion, because that's just who we are. And sometimes things are really hard. So we've talked about some of those things on the podcast before with loss and grief. So yeah, it was interesting. I'm going to interject here and give you a minute to compose. And I was talking with someone very close to me who's going through a difficult time. And we were talking about grief, and this person's making a big transition. There's a marriage that's dissolving, and kids that have to move, and just a lot. And we talked about how they were going to talk with their children about, I know this isn't ideal. I know this isn't what you wanted. You didn't want to change schools. You didn't want all this stuff. But, we can either, dwell on that, or we can, look at the positive and the upside of, the positive stuff. And I just looked at this person and I said, or we can do both at the same time. And that's something that I've come to in the last couple of years, is that we are, I don't want to say complicated. That's the first word that comes to mind. That's not true. We are complex, emotional people, and we can feel a lot of things at the same time. And it's okay to feel a lot of things at the same time. So we can celebrate the holidays and mourn the loss of the people that weren't with us for the holidays. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for our listeners, we give you permission. That's my word right now. Permission to feel all the feelings. Give yourself permission to feel. We classify emotions as positive and negative, and they're just emotions. Like feeling grief is not a negative. Feeling joy is not always a positive. Like emotions, I don't like that we do that. Like we've classified them so that if I feel sad, that's a negative emotion. It's not. It's just an emotion. It's not neither positive nor negative. It's just how it is.
It's just
that's my TED Talk for today. How's that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Right.
Okay. So the rest of your holidays were pretty quiet, right?
Quiet, nice.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah.
We have a little of that sinusy junk rolling around our house. I'm on the tail end of it. Tim and Alyssa both are also a little stuffy, and I think I got my mama a little stuffy too. But she's coughing. I wasn't coughing. So yeah, just the winter, change of season.
Yeah.
Cooties being stuck inside, not getting the same fresh air.
Absolutely.
Yeah, stuff. So, you say that like I had a weird taste in my mouth, and everybody in my family's like, and I'm like, I can taste. Things just taste weird because I have sinuses. Okay. Like I don't have COVID.
Listen, if you'd have had COVID, you wouldn't have been able to tell that you had a weird taste in your mouth.
Right. I would have just like had nothing, right?
Had nothing.
Oh, this is funny. So I read an article that the Yankee Candle store was getting back tons of candles after Christmas, and people were writing negative reviews saying that the candles didn't smell good. They had no smell. But it's because people have COVID.
COVID.
What in the world?
Yeah.
Hello. Don't give Yankee Candle Store a bad rap because you can't smell.
Right.
That's hilarious.
Hilarious. Yeah.
Okay.
So before we start talking about 2022 and what we desire out of the year, because the time's going to pass anyway.
Right.
And and it will pass really quickly.
Last year was super quick.
Super quick, right?
It was. It really was.
And what gives me great pleasure is that my 25-year-old son believes that time is quickly passing as well. You know what I mean? Because usually it's the younger people that say, oh, time's so slow.
Right.
Anyhow.
Yeah, they're waiting for that next big milestone.
Right. So the time's going to pass by anyway.
Right.
So if we don't set our intentions about what we want the year to look like, then another year will just pass and will be the same. So I don't really resolutions never worked for me.
No, me either.
Never.
Mm-mm.
And so, because I think that I blindly set resolutions, but didn't have like an action plan.
Right. No intention.
Right. No intention behind it. Just what I thought would be good for me. And then, just kind of didn't even try it. You know what I mean? It's like when you don't have an action plan, then there's, no way to get to that resolution.
Right.
So, what actually is the definition of resolution? That's something.
You're asking the wrong girl. I know you're about to go.
Because, resolution to me means we have a problem.
And we need a resolution.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a firm decision to do or not to do something.
Okay.
A firm decision to do or not to do something.
It's permission.
It's permission. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's absolutely permission.
Permission to do, to not do.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need a new word, though. Sometimes words get stale or connected to a part of our life that didn't work. And so that word carries that same connection.
Yes.
So I had to quit using the word boundary because to me, boundary didn't feel good. So that's when I moved to permission, because permission was just a more graceful word. It just, I think with permission, it felt, boundary felt restrictive. All about what I can't do.
Right.
Where permission can be both, but I think of it more on what am I giving myself permission to do, even if what I'm giving myself permission to do is what I'm giving myself permission to not do.
Right.
So resolution, I think the same, but I think people have done the same thing with the word goals.
I do too.
Right. So they're like, oh yeah, let's make some goals. Yeah, but did you really put a plan in place? So that's where I think the word intention comes in.
Yes.
Because your follow through, what's your intention? Did you set your intention? What's your intention for the day? Do you set an intention for your, for your job, for your relationship, for your whatever? Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. And I'll tell you, the last 5 or 6 years, I started choosing a word for the year, and that evolved over 5 or 6 years. And this year I haven't thought about it one bit until you and I started talking about this podcast. Like, I'm not nervous and jerky about that. I'm not. And so if a word comes to mind that sticks, maybe, but if not, I'm not gonna, I mean, because I honestly can remember, and it's still on my whiteboard, that last January, I was very concerned because I didn't have a word for the year.
That's
And
funny.
like January 21st, like this word refined came up. Okay. And so it kept coming up in a lot of things. And I was like, okay, so that's my word. I just am not concerned about it.
That's interesting. And for me, like, I want a word. I don't know if I can stick to a word for a whole year. That feels restrictive to me. Like, what if a better
Then
word
what's the purpose of the word?
for a season, for a time,
Right.
right? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm like, oh, that's a good word. I like that word.
Yeah.
Like, because sometimes people say things and then you're like, oh, because I never thought about that before,
Right.
right? And then I'm like, oh, I love that, but I think that
Me
goes along with
too.
my personality of, I don't like, it's a commitment thing. Like, I don't want to be bound to that one thing for a really long time. Like, Tim's lucky that I don't feel that way relationally because like, like, I'm ready to change furniture and paint rooms, and like, I get bored with stuff. I don't get bored with people per se. That's interesting though. I haven't actually thought about that until right now. Like, how I'm like, I'll just sit in a room and I'll be like, that would look over there.
Yeah.
And then I just move stuff around. Yeah. Anyway, that's interesting.
Yeah. So, I guess, like, what is the purpose? Like, I would love to speak to somebody who has that word given to them every year, and do they really carry that out? And like, what does that mean to them? Because, yeah, I've really been processing that whole word of the year thing.
So Pantsuit Politics, they talked about that just on their own recently on their Instagram. I was following. Not Beth. What's the other girl's name? The spicy one. She's funny to me. Anyway, and they contributed the word of the year back to like this person who I guess wrote a book about it. But Laura Casey is where I learned it from, to have your word for the year. But maybe Laura Casey got it from somewhere else, or maybe that other girl got it, or maybe they both got it, and who knows? I don't even know. But I learned it, gosh, how long has that been since we started the Make It Happen years ago with Cultivate and Laura Casey? And that's why I first learned it. And so I've had lots of words, but I've always had a hard time like narrowing down on one word. And I'm not sure if I've ever stuck to one word for a whole year. Truly.
But what do you do with that word?
I guess it's like an anchor, like maybe that word grounds you. So like if your word is, so like mine is permission right now, I would say that's my permission. It's something that I keep in the forefront of my mind. It's something that I talk about a lot. I'm actually been writing about it a lot with the devotions that I write. If my word were joy or an emotion in that sense, like I think I would keep it in front of me to be sure that I reflected on what brings me joy. I guess I would look at it the way people look at like your life scripture, like that it anchors you, that it kind of grounds you. It's something that you go back to. But if your word changes every year, I don't know. It's a good question. And I think probably people do it differently. I would imagine personality wise, and how people are wired and driven differently, that their word would function with them differently.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting. So for our listeners, send us some feedback. Tell us what it means to you. Do you have a word? Have you never heard of that before? If you have a word, like what's that look like for you? Do you get a new one like just yearly, or when it suits you, or I don't know.
Are you still focusing on that word in September?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did add it to my life designer this time, but I did it a little differently. So like I did on the goal page, I did put what is your word for the year for people who do that. But on January, I did put set your intention for the month for the and just for the month. Like what's
Yeah.
your intention for the month? And I probably would have done it on the weekly page, except I don't have room. Because I think you can set your intention often.
Yes.
Because I mean, if you're like me, you have to go back and be focused. Like, because
I mean, sometimes I have to set my intention for the day.
right. You know,
Yeah.
when I practice yoga, we set an intention for the day, like with the girl that I do on YouTube. So yeah.
So what are some of the things that you want to focus on for 2022?
I need more structure in my daily life.
Okay.
I am really quick if I don't have a set obligation, because I am not my own obligation. Problem one. I am really quick to give up my day to be accommodating to someone else and then not accomplish the things that I have set that I need to accomplish or want to accomplish. And then I allow my own things to take back, the back seat. So I did create a daily schedule for myself. I think it's hard to when like I'm my own boss in that sense. So I do have a lot of flexibility in what I do. So I can say, oh yeah, I can go to breakfast. Of course I can. I mean, that's the benefit of being flexible, right?
Right.
Except when I do it so much that I lose sight of what I'm supposed to be doing. And I need to be better managing my own self in that sense of being true to myself and the things that I want to accomplish.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
And I function better with a routine because I'm a creature of habit. So once I have that in place, I do really well with it. And I'm motivated. It's not, like I don't sleep in, I get up, I get busy. Like that's, I'm wired that way. But I don't always get busy for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
yeah. That's good.
So I actually,
so then you know that you're aware of that. So then have you processed what that looks like? How will you, in June, when someone wants you to do something and you already have set your day, like what tools do you have in your back pocket to?
So I'm working really hard on, I'll use the word boundaries, of being sure that I have boundaries in place, and actually working with my therapist on when I need to put boundaries in place. And so the question that I ask myself that she asked me is, what about that is working or not working?
That's good.
That's when I know that I need a boundary. Is it working for me? Because of course, if my mom has an appointment pop up, I'm going to take her to an appointment. Like, of course, I'm going to do that. Okay. So I think right now I can say how I think I'm going to do it is, do I want to do that or not? Does it add value? Is it something that I want to do? Like, and I'm struggling with that is that being selfish? Because I think it's been so ingrained in us that if I follow what I want to do, then I'm being selfish. And I'm not being selfish. I'm being true to me by not feeling obligated more to you than to myself.
Yes.
Do you think that's a women thing? Do you think that that's what's been put on us as women? Do you think that's specific to me because I'm a 9 and I'm accommodating and I'm a peacemaker? Like I'm interested in digging into that more to see if other women across the board feel that same sense of accommodating others.
I think a lot of women would say that they've done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it is a women thing. Maybe more so a women thing. Not that men maybe, I don't know. I can't speak for men. I wouldn't even dare try to speak for what I think men think. But yeah, so So that's what I'm doing. So I did create like what I need to do. And I did just generically Monday, like I'm going to do these things, and Tuesdays, I'm going to work on these things. And so it's not the same thing every day. I have a different thing to focus on each day. Um, and I do have a lot of flexibility in that. So if I had to take my mom to an appointment, either I could do it before or after, or not at all that day and get back to it next week. And that would be okay. For the most part, some things I don't have that same flexibility for, but yeah.
Good. That's good.
So the other thing is practicing the pause and not responding right away, and giving myself a chance to really process, do I want to do that? I don't know. Like, is that so? Yeah. Not reacting too quickly, not responding to people, and then resenting the fact that I said yes to something or no to something that I, feel differently about. So,
Yeah. I love that.
yeah.
I love that.
All right. How about you?
So I have never in my life, in my adult life, I should say, had a morning ritual routine,
Okay.
because every day for me is different.
Right.
Some days I go to work at 8:30, some days I go to work at 11.
Which makes
And
it challenging to have a
it
consistent.
makes it very
Yeah,
challenging,
it does.
because I don't love getting up at 5 o'clock. Like I'm not going to say I'm not a morning person, but I mean, honestly, like I like to sleep till like 8. I
Sure.
do. And so, yeah, developing a morning routine is something that I really am working on. For the first hour of my day to be quiet,
Mhm.
to be just with me. I've actually started with a group meditating, and it's, in order to do it live, it's at 10 o'clock, which is perfect for me. Although, like tomorrow, I won't be able to catch it live.
Right.
So, anyway, I'm really excited about what that looks like in my life. And the interesting thing, though, is maneuvering that with people that live in my house, because we have a small home.
Right.
And so, yeah, yeah.
And it's
So
winter, so it's not like you can go outside all the time, because that would be your go-to, I feel like.
it
Yeah.
would. As a matter of fact, I started affirmations, like writing daily affirmations over the summer, and I loved
Mhm.
sitting on my porch in my chair in the morning. And when I first started doing it, like I hated the sound of the traffic. Then I was able to drown out the sound of the traffic. But like, it's 33 here today. I'm not sitting on the porch. But anyway, so just developing that morning routine and having the very first hour of my day to be mine.
What do
And
you notice about the rest of your day when you are able to start off the morning just you?
I'm a lot more peaceful.
Me too.
Yeah, a lot more peaceful. Um, and I'm just going to tell you, like, it's really challenging for me, because like this morning, my meditation got interrupted with someone burping, and that distracts me and it irritates me.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I really have a lot of work to do. So, and instead of going with the emotion
Right.
of how, because it distracted me, like just really thinking, okay, like
Mhm.
back to center. It's the same thing with the traffic.
Right.
You got to drown it out. So it's challenging, but I'm excited about it.
Good.
So yeah, just setting that intention for the first hour of my day, no matter what.
You know what's interesting is that so I do have a morning routine. I say that lightly. Okay, so when I get up, the first thing I do is I take care of all the animals. So I go get Atlas out of his crate from Alyssa's room. I feed the cats and give them fresh water. I take him downstairs, put him out, and usually depends on the weather and if there's a hawk in sight, I let the girls out or don't let my girls out and give them some snacks. Those are my hens. But when I start my morning routine, I can't sit on the furniture. I always sit on the floor in the living room.
Hey y'all, this is KJ from Simple Conversations Where Grace Meets Strength. Thank y'all so much for listening and tuning in. If it weren't for y'all, there would be no reason for us to do this. Listen, we need your help. We need your support. So head on over to patreon.com/simple conversations and decide exactly how you want to be involved. For $5 a month, you would get access to behind the scenes content. For $25 a month, you would get that as well as a shout out on the podcast or fan input. As a supporter for $50 a month, you would get all that in the previous two tiers, as well as a one-time gift or book that Alice and I have read or are reading that we think would add value to your life. Or for $100 a month, we consider you family. You ever heard that before? That's friends that are so good that we consider you family. So you would get everything in the previous three tiers, as well as exclusive branded merchandise from Simple Conversations. So listen, our heart's desire is to do more and to be more. And so in order for us to do that, we need help. And so we're dependent on you to help us make that happen. So thanks for tuning in and thanks for your support. See y'all.
It's really like I can't meditate, and I even my devotion time, I do it sitting on the floor. I do get my yoga mat out because I do like to, if I don't do a morning yoga, I at least stretch. But I can't do it sitting on the couch. Is that so crazy?
No, no, because one thing that I'm learning is that you have to be 100% in a comfort space when you're meditating.
Yeah, and there's something really different for me about sitting on the floor versus sitting somewhere else. Now, if I were in my room, because I used to do this in my bedroom and I do it downstairs now. I think Tim working from home changed that because he would stay upstairs to work. And so that I couldn't do it in my room anymore, which I probably could now, but I've gotten out of the habit of being in my room. But in my room, I could sit, I have a love seat in there and I could sit there and that was fine. I didn't sit on the floor. But when I come down to the living room, I always sit on the floor.
Interesting.
Yeah. It
Closer
is.
to the earth. You're
Yeah.
closer to the earth.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm learning how important grounding is. And so,
Yes. Good gracious. I'm ready for, well, I'm not ready for spring because I really like all the seasons. But I do miss the barefoot and I didn't get a lot of beach time this last summer. So definitely need to make that more of a priority.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's one thing that, I was thinking about this morning in my meditation. One of the journaling prompts that she said was, how are you different from where you were a year ago,
Mm.
5 years ago, 10 years ago? And I was just thinking, like, 5 years ago, I would never be sitting here listening to you, try to tell me to take a deep breath because I got too much shit to do, right?
Right.
So, but definitely also too, learning how to, and that's one of my intentions for 2022 is to continue learning and growing on how to just be.
Yeah.
Because I've spent so much of my life doing and being busy, and a lot of it was just ridiculousness. And look, I'll just tell you that it's that even some people that are still busy, I can't even do them either.
Mm.
Yeah, it's now that I am aware that
Mhm.
I'm a human being and I need to be more than I do.
Mhm.
I love, like, I went to the beach the other day with a blanket and some jogging pants and a turtleneck on. And it was lovely.
Mhm.
So just to be and to
Yeah.
breathe and to listen to the water and to put my feet in the sand. Were my feet cold? Yes. But yeah, I brought some socks. So it's very interesting how my life has transitioned just within the last 7 or 8 months when
Mhm.
it comes to just being.
Yeah.
So
And I think
yeah.
that's a practice. I was talking to a lady over the holiday who was talking about how even intimately how she gets caught up in her head and not able to be and relax. with her husband. And I was talking to her about, that whole mind thing, how the mind is powerful.
It is.
And we can think ourselves into situations or out of situations. But for a woman, when you're talking about being, it is something we have to practice. And I think because we are mentally, everything touches everything else. In order to be, it takes practice, like working a muscle.
Yeah.
And the more we do it, the better at it we get. And then the better we are at, I'll say, coping, in the sense of when, distractions happen, like you're saying, we learn to overcome them.
Yeah.
But I do think that it requires intention and want to.
Yes.
I mean, I think you have to want to, which is part of personal growth, which is why, that's so important to me. You have to want to grow, or you can just stay where you are.
Yeah.
But growth requires a lot. It's hard.
I honestly find it hard to believe that if you were to ask a majority of the people that they really are okay with where they are, and that if they never do anything else, that, where they are right now today, that they're okay with that, like really in the depths of their soul. And it would surprise me if someone actually said, yeah, I'm good. Yep. I'm
Yeah, but how many people do you think are really in tune with the depths of their soul?
Not many.
No, I don't think so either.
Not many. And I think a lot of people would say, like, I mean, I live with people that would say, yeah, I'm good. If I never read another book, but really and truly, when you get to the bottom of the depth of their soul, like, they want more out of life.
Right.
People want more out of life.
Yeah, I think people just don't want to do the work. They want the magic.
That's it. That's it. That's
yeah,
it.
I just had that conversation recently too with someone who there were lots of reasons and excuses why things were the way they were in their life. And I just reminded them, what you're talking about is magic. There is no magic.
No magic.
It's work.
Yeah.
You have to do the work. So what are you listening to? What are you doing on a daily basis that's helping you to think, to be open-minded, to think outside the box, to evolve in how you think about things? That's where we started listening to things differently than what we were accustomed listening to. People who think differently than we do, people who see things in the world differently than we do. And it gave us permission to think and see things differently.
Right.
And so, it's funny too. You're talking about the person asked 5 years ago, oh, wow, I'm not the same girl I was 5 years ago.
Mm-mm.
Oh my goodness, I've evolved so much.
Yes.
I'll take this back to a show. There was a show that came on it. I tried watching it 5 years ago and I didn't like it. And Alyssa reminded me, she said, you tried watching that already and you didn't like it. I said, I know, but I like it now. I've evolved.
Right.
I've talked about 2 shows. Like, I watch a lot of television. I really do not. Like, it's on YouTube playing like instrumental stuff in the other room. At night we watch shows, but during Christmas, I guess I did do some Netflix days. But yeah, like, I have totally evolved. Over the holidays, I had a time hop come up that I sent you of a Christmas party that we had. And I won't say how many years ago it was. It was a few years ago. And it was one of my favorite Christmas parties that we've had. But except for a few, very few people that were there, and the ones that are related to me, the rest of those people are not even part of our life anymore. Because we've evolved. And if you're on a path where you're growing and evolving, and it's important to you to do that, chances are that the majority of the people that you are in doing life with, if they're not on that same path of at least wanting to grow, give it a few years and you're not going to be doing life together.
Right.
Yeah. Because you outgrow each other.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was crazy, wasn't it?
Right. It really was. And it really was one of my favorite holidays that we've had, just because of how things were in that season. But yeah, most of those people are not in our life anymore. Some by their choice and some by ours.
Right.
Both. Yeah. Interesting.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
When I was talking about going back to that whole, we're a human being, not a human doing. And that's one of my biggest intentions for 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Someone put this quote in front of me, and I just want to read it. I love it, because when we talk about resolutions and goals, Elizabeth Gilbert says, "You are not required to justify your existence on this earth through constant improvement. You're not a Fortune 500 company. You don't have to show increasing profits. You don't have to earn your right to be here by putting yourself to a higher and higher and higher standard. You just get to be here."
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
I do too, because, if we take that spiritually, God didn't put us here to achieve things.
Right.
We weren't created and designed to achieve. We were created and designed to be.
Yeah.
That's why
And
scripture,
to love and be loved.
right? Faith without works is dead. We weren't created to do works.
Yeah.
You do the things out of relationship, not because of relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think we've gotten it backwards a long time, because achieving is measurable, and that's how you knew if people were doing good or not.
Right.
We measure
Right.
them. Isn't that terrible?
It is.
Measure the heart of a person. That's terrible. But yeah, that's what we did. I'm sure that's what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I saw something else on social media that I really loved. I had to take a screenshot of it because I relate to it so much in some ways, and others not so much. Happy Mess World on Instagram shared a post that said, "How to make 2022 magnificent." And the very first one is about permission. Stop doing shit that you hate.
Yes, please do.
Stop doing stuff. The second one was love your body more. And I think that is something that absolutely I'm working on this year, is to love all of me, all of me. To hang out with incredible people, to walk barefoot more often, which
For
goes
sure.
back to, yes, us grounding and being, to share your magic, whatever your magic is, share that, to be freaking brave.
Yeah.
I'm tired of being brave, actually.
I have a lot of respect when people are brave.
Yeah. Flaunt your awesome.
Mm.
I love that. Love harder and love louder. Be gentle and kind with yourself. Be a great human and give assholes the boot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't have a whole lot of assholes in my life anymore, which I'm grateful for. That doesn't mean that 2022 won't bring some to me.
Right.
But I really am learning how to, not do the whole asshole thing.
Well, it comes back to the thing we've talked about before, where are they a friend that you do lunch with or a friend you do life with?
Right.
Because I can
Well, how about this? I have decided I'm not even, I'm telling you this, I have decided I'm not even going to do lunch with people I don't do life with anymore. It's a waste of my time. I'm tired of the conversations, the surface conversations. I'm tired of being in a position where, because I want to nurture a relationship, then I have to listen to you talk about other people. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not doing that anymore. And so, I'm not doing it anymore. And so even if that means that my friend circle is one or two, I'm okay with that because I've
Yeah.
had less before. I know a lot of people, and but that doesn't mean I have a lot of friends.
Right.
So I just
Yeah.
yeah, I was taking inventory of a couple of circles that I have been in. And I'm not doing that in 2022. I'm just not. And listen, that's a COVID keeper because
Oh,
COVID,
right.
that's
Mm,
another whole podcast that we're thinking about doing. But that's one of the things that I've learned
yeah.
during COVID that I'm not going to continue doing because we didn't do it during COVID and I didn't miss those people.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a true indicator.
Yeah. So, yeah. And I've said no, thank you. Or look, before I actually said no, thank you, I would kind of like drag along. And then it was like, then I finally just had to say no, thank you, because, these people were so intentional about wanting to whatever. No, as a matter of fact, a group of them are going to the Mexican restaurant tonight.
Oh,
And for a split second, when I thought about that, because they haven't taken me out of the text thread,
mhm.
I had a fear of missing out. And then I thought, am I crazy? Hold on, come
Mhm.
back, KJ, because you decided that you didn't want to do that anymore. And now, and really, when I parented myself with that, it's like, oh, thank God I don't have to do that anymore.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Very interesting.
very.
I actually, my COVID keeper would be I am a definite introvert. Um, and I'm really, really okay with it, to the point that sometimes I'm like, okay, so in our next phase of life, when we move from here and we want a piece of land and I don't want to see neighbors, will I ever see people again? Well, I miss seeing people. I don't really miss seeing people. And I think that because I'm even not even on like social media a lot, I think Facebook like has blocked me. Like people don't see my posts when I do post now because I'm not on there a lot. And I'm like, dang it. But I'm not like, and I don't have a lot to say, which is so weird because I talk for a living. But when I'm scrolling and I see people's stuff, I just love it, or I give them a heart because like it just makes me happy, but I don't really have anything to say about it.
Right.
So then my algorithm gets all messed up. So then when I do post things I want people to see, nobody sees it.
And it's still okay.
Yeah, it is.
It's still okay.
It is. It is.
So I will say there are a couple of things that I am setting intentions for the new year. I am about to buy myself a pair of roller skates.
Wow.
I wasn't going to tell anybody, but now I'm telling you.
Okay.
And
all of our listeners.
In the world. Yes, I'm about
Where are
to
you
buy
going to skate at?
Excuse me?
Where are you going to skate?
In my house.
Just in the house?
For right now, I got to make sure I got my balance. I got to build up my core. I got to build up my core before I go to the
skating too as a teenager, right?
What's that?
You used to skate as a teenager, right? Didn't you go to the skating rink?
I did, but I was never good.
Yeah,
I was never good. I could stand.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
I could skate really good straight. I could never go backwards. Like you do that little swish thing with the one foot, but I would never go anywhere. I would just stand still and do the swish thing.
Yeah.
Ah, that's funny. Okay, well, if you actually decide to go to the skating rink, tell me. I'll go.
Okay.
I'll go.
Yeah, my husband thinks I'm crazy.
It's okay.
You just don't know that I'm buying the skates today.
Oh, are you getting real skates or roller skates or rollerblades?
No, roller skates.
Okay.
Yeah. I need 8 wheels.
And stoppers. Make sure you get them stoppers.
The big stopper, real close to the floor. Yeah. Yeah. So there's 3 things that I want to do in 2022. I want to learn to skate, and I want to still be skating next December. I want
Okay.
to know, like I have said, okay, I'm going to skate January, February, March. I've named all of the months, right?
Okay.
And in February, I'm taking a pottery class. I'm excited about that.
Very cool.
And I'll tell you something too, is that I've always been that girl that when I want to try something new, I wanted to bring somebody along with me for comfort. And I'm not doing that
Wow.
because yes. So anyway, I want to line dance. I want to line dance.
Oh, that's fun.
I do. I want to line dance. So yeah.
I'll do that with you in the living room.
Okay.
You send me the YouTube link and I'll learn it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I need time to practice dancing. That's not my lane always. But if I practice, I can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna drink more water and eat more protein, mind my business, and learn how to skate and do pottery and line dance. That's my 2020.
I love all of that. I
Mhm.
don't have any of those fun things on mine. I do have creative outlets, but I don't know what they are. Like I want more creative outlets. I have my first speaking engagement for 2022 already, which is exciting.
That's awesome.
It is.
Where will that be?
California. They liked me, so they're bringing me back. So the Desert Leadership. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's really cool. It's a great opportunity, and I love being there with the ladies. It's a great group. So
Yeah, that's good. You have the experience too that you can add value to all of those ladies' lives.
well, well,
For
thank you.
sure.
I I would love to do more workshop engagements that way. I love that. I love the type of workshop where I give it all, and then when I leave, I'm like, okay, I have nothing else. Like
Yeah.
I'm empty. Like I've
Yeah.
got nothing else.
And listen, that's God's best for you because look, He doesn't want us to die full
Right.
at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. That's
Yeah, I'm
awesome.
excited about that.
Yeah.
And I am planning, I'm going to say this out loud,
Say it.
to go to school in the fall.
That's awesome.
Yep. I went and talked to a counselor before the holidays, and I have her email sitting in my email box because I haven't had time to like really read it and get ready, but I have a little bit of time, so I'm not going to do anything until the fall. So this will be my last year teaching for
Okay.
real. For real. And I'm going to focus on something new, and I am scared to pieces about it,
I love that.
but I think I'm ready.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, I'm ready to learn something new, and I'm ready to be in a new environment with other people to broaden my circle, I guess, and to learn from other people. Yeah.
I love that. I will say that selfishly, I was hoping that you would like teach us more about the Enneagram.
It's on my list.
Selfishly.
It's on my list. It's on my that's my Wednesday on my calendar, is because I'm a little behind in my class. I am taking an Enneagram class, and I'm behind because of the holidays. So and I have thought about becoming an Enneagram coach. So it floats around in my mind. I'm not ready to make that commitment yet. But yeah, I do love it because I love the dynamics of people. I love understanding the why behind people when they're different than me, like what causes that, like identifying those traits. And I do that really well with the 4 lenses. I'm still learning with the Enneagram, and they're completely different. Like they don't contradict each other. They're just completely different ways of assessing.
Right.
So yeah, I am. It's on the list.
I will say that I've been dabbling in it just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Actually trying to really learn more about myself and my number, just to make sure that. So the Enneagram test says that I'm a 7.
Yep.
Okay. 7 with a wing 8.
For sure.
Yeah. But yesterday I was listening to one about goals, and it said the reason why I don't like to set goals is because I don't trust the process.
Mm.
And when she said that, I was like, how did you get inside of my brain? How do you know that about me? Because I'm that person. If I exercise one day, I don't understand why I haven't lost 20 pounds the next day.
Right.
Because I don't trust the process. And
Mm.
so I believe that, if I develop a routine and start incorporating, line dancing and skating
Things
and
that are fun.
water and meditating and slowing down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, I love that whole Enneagram thing. Yeah. And listen, and when I listen to it and she says something about, 9s, like I totally have you and my husband in my head. I'm like, yep, that's Alice for sure. Or yep, that's my husband for sure. So
And I am all in the gut triad. I am an 8-9-1. So my 8 wing and 1 wing, I definitely have those traits for sure. And so, yeah. So not all the 9s, I'm like when it says that 9s can't make a decision, it's not that I can't make a decision. I don't have a problem making a decision most of the time. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I don't care if we eat Chinese or Mexican. If I care, I'll say something. But I don't care. Like, I don't care what show we watch. I don't care because it doesn't matter.
Right.
I think that's where some of that peacemaker stuff comes in at, because I don't really have strong opinions about some things. Now, some things I definitely have that fiery 8, and I definitely have that structure, get your shit done 1.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it is interesting to me too, understanding.
Yeah. So interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have gone down about 30 rabbit holes with this podcast, which is not unusual or uncommon.
Not at all.
No. So, is there anything else that you would like to add that you would intentionally like to experience in 2022?
Two things. One is I would like to travel more because I really do love traveling. And 2, I would like to experience the kindness of a world around me. So I'm going to say that to all of our listeners. Just be kind. It doesn't hurt you to be kind.
Right.
We have no idea what's going on in the people around us. And we've seen that play out more in the last 2 years, I think, than we ever have in our lives, where we have been exposed to what could possibly be going on in the lives of other people. And I just want to remind you, just be kind. Just practice kindness and generosity.
Yeah.
I would like to experience more of it, and I would like for the whole world to experience more of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Stop judging people.
Right.
When you don't know.
Yeah.
And stop judging them when you don't have the courage to actually ask them and talk with them.
This has been good.
It has been good. It's good to be back. It's good to be with our listeners. So remember to share this with your friends. Share this on your social media platforms. Remember to rate us, follow us, like us. And I'll tell you what Glennon Doyle says to her people. Give us a review if you love it. If you didn't love it, it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's okay. Don't
waste your time. Don't even bother. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, listeners, it's been great. Happy 2022, and we'll be back with you in 2 weeks.
Yes. Thanks for listening, y'all.
Hey, you guys,
We just want to say thank you today. We want to thank our listeners and those of you that have subscribed to the Simple Conversations podcast. Friends, thanks.